Hey everybody, this is Jeff, Swing Trade Warrior with WarriorTrading.com. Going to go over my watch list for tomorrow, and I also want to talk a little bit about the market and some open trades. Also, as usual, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box there, and I will get them answered as soon as possible. Looking at the broader market today, kind of what we expected a little bit, what we talked about the other day. The market is just testing this 200, the S&P is testing the 200 area here at the SPY. Not really a big pullback, not a big sell-off, just kind of drifting under the 200 moving average and also that $200 whole number. So until we get a clear directional move, either over or back below, I don't really expect this to be a very active next couple days here. Looking for the high relative volume to come back into the market. Once the S&P picks a direction, that'll really give us some insight on the potential for direction that we're likely to see going forward. So knowing this, our portfolio right now, we have a pretty delta neutral portfolio. What I mean by that is we have just about as many short positions as we do long positions. We have a lot of spreads open right now. Tomorrow, looking to put on maybe a couple more. Trying to do everything in as much balance as possible, because until the market does pick a direction, it's going to trade higher and it's going to trade lower, and I want to have the ability to profit while it's trading sideways. So that's what delta neutral does for us. Like I said, we are using a lot of spreads right now. Tomorrow, we look to put on a couple more. We'll talk about some of those in a minute. First, I'm going to talk about the long stock ideas, long and short stock ideas, the names that don't trade, liquid and options. First one I'll be watching tomorrow is XNPT. This one is Xenoport Incorporated. They are coming up here off of the lows back from October. We put in another bottom here, just shy of those lows at 370. You can see we kind of bounced off this area. Definitely holding up higher lows here long term. We did get this cross over the 20 EMA. You can see this purple line right through here. It came up and it tested the 50, which is this white line, but wasn't able to break through the 50. So now it's sitting on support at 434, excuse me, which is the TAS market profile box. This is an indicator that shows us support and resistance zones here, the red being resistance and the green being support. So right now it's trading just above previous resistance, and like I always say, we know that previous resistance will become future support, and we know that previous support will become future resistance. So this was resistance in the past, it is now acting as support. It's trading right along the 20. We have this nice run up here off of the 370 lows. We put in a high of about 475. We had this little pullback here, light volume pullback. You can see during the run here we had a relatively high volume run up and then a light volume pullback. Now we're looking for the next leg up, which hopefully we'll see a continuation through this 470 area, ultimately looking for a return back to the $5 mark. Short term, this should only take a day or two to happen. If market conditions continue to be as they are, I suspect we might see $5 over the next day or two. Let's see, another name here. What is the other one I have? EROS. EROS International. I believe this is an Indian film company. It's like their version of Paramount or Warner Brothers. They are also trading after their earnings back in February, trading just off those lows, down around $5.59. You can see that they've put in a the stock used to be $30, but it had a pretty big sell-off back in October, all the way down to under $10 here. It's trading sideways for a long period of time. It wasn't until recently that we got a cross and hold over the 20 EMA, which is this line right here. And you can see the last time this thing popped over the 20 EMA, we got a nice sharp move to the upside. Failed the 50, came back down, made new lows for earnings, then popped back up here. We closed over the 20 again, and now we've closed over the 50. So we have a much more bullish pattern following this big earnings move to the upside here. This one is a pretty easy to determine profit target on here. I told you just a few seconds ago that these red and green lines represent support and resistance. They're from Taz. This one happens to be at the just above the next resistance target here, which is going to be 1040. And why do I choose 1040? Well, you can see, you can see that 1040 was resistance back here on February 1st, and was also resistance back here in December, and again back in November. So that's going to be our target on this trade. We're going to look to get long on this over the 960, 970 area. We're going to look to take this up over the next day or two to the 1040 mark. That's going to be our target. Whether or not we get through there, I don't know, but we'll be scaling out along the way. This one is fairly liquid, and it has an ATR of about 60 cents, so it probably won't get there all in one day, but we should definitely see a move by Friday, if not early next week. But we'll evaluate the trade like we always do once we're in it and it's trending in our favor. Let's see. Good question here. I just started trading 2 months ago. Love this stuff. You guys really taught me. Awesome, man. Very happy to hear that. When Ross and I started trading, we both started kind of the same way, and we were self-taught. We didn't have a mentor, and so we made a ridiculous amount of expensive mistakes. Our cost of education was many, many thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. And so by being able to talk about what we've learned and help new traders, not only do we reinstill and re-ingrain and keep learning and reminding ourselves of the right way of doing things, but we are also able to obviously impart some of that knowledge onto other people. And if you can take what little bit you learned from me and what little bit you learned from Ross and put it together and make yourself that much more successful, then mission accomplished. That's why we do what we do. And so I'm glad to hear that you guys get something out of that. The ticker up now is EROS. 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 Let's see. Also, you asked about how do we find stocks like ASTC or ASCT. So we have this high day momentum scanner. We run it in the chat room every morning. This thing starts throwing off. Let's see. There's 1, 2. Oops, this one's turned off here. This thing has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strategies built into it. So it's looking for 8 different combinations of high volume stocks, whether they're low float, medium float, under $10, over $10. They have different volume requirements. You can see the color here for medium volume. Dark green is massive volume. First thing in the morning when the market opens, things are going to start making high of day. The ones that are making high of day, meeting our volume requirements, which when we're talking volume requirements, we're looking for low float stocks on massive relative volume because they're coming off of earnings, or they have FDA approval that was just announced, or they have whatever, and there's a ton of opportunity to jump in these things and ride them up because there's so many people trading them out of the gate in the morning. So you can see ASTC, to answer your question. This thing popped up on here at 6:33. I'm on the Pacific Coast, guys, so that's 3 minutes after the market opens. 3 minutes after the market opened, ASTC hit the scanner. We got long on ASTC over 220. Right after it hit the scanner, I'll pull up the old 1 minute chart here. So first thing in the morning, you can see this thing gapped up, right? It's a gap and go strategy. It's trading at $1.60 at the open here. It opened at $1.60. It had closed yesterday at $1.48. So not really a big gapper. No real volume to speak of in the previous days. Then all of a sudden this thing pops up here on big volume. It's a gapper. It starts running. We caught this thing over 220. Was our first trade on it, which is right here. So once it made this little doji or spinning top looking thing here, we took it over 220, and obviously you can see we rode this thing up all the way to the $2.95, $3 area. So for a stock to move at the open from 220 to $3 is 80 cents. That's what, about a 60%, 75% move in stock price. That's ridiculous. On the whole day, I think this thing moved, closed up 63%. So, this is just a ridiculous move. And then, so you can see here that we were able to profit without the trade ever coming against us here. Once it broke over 220, it never looked back. This thing popped up. It came right off the scanner. So, You can match the times up here. You see ASTC hit at 6:33, and you can see that at 6:33, it's right here on my charts, this little candle. This is the one that did it, and we started watching it, and the rest is history. So very quick opportunity. You could have made your daily goal in 4 minutes. You take 4,000 shares, you write them up for 60-70 cents, and I think that's going to be a good day by just about anybody's standard. And this is what we do every single morning. We put the scanner up. We wait for stocks that are moving. Now, we don't take everything that alerts off the scanner, but we do take the names that are in play because there's a catalyst and that are the highest of the high volume stocks all day. If you look at the relative volume leaders for the day, this one is 322 times 322% of its average relative volume, meaning 322 times more volume traded today than on an average day. So I guarantee you there are probably no other stocks that traded today on the exchanges with that much volume. So we are trading the most in-play stocks, that are moving on the most volume relative to what they normally do. And that's how we're able to consistently find those, is a combination of scanner, evaluate the chart setup, evaluate an entry, look at your risk reward, and jump in. So that answers your question on ASTC there. All right, looking at the last chart I want to look at for tomorrow is NWE. Nope, wrong one. Yes, no, it is NWE. I got to take it off the minute chart. There we go. Okay, NWE, that's the one. This thing is struggling to get over 62. This pretty big resistance spot right there, 62. This thing keeps pushing the highs. I don't think this thing has made it over 62 in its whole life here. So we are trading at the 52-week highs. For the past week or so, it has been continuously making higher highs. After its earnings report here back in early February, this thing's been on a tear. Off of 62, we're looking to short this. The market is kind of weak. It's definitely trading at a point of resistance. If we see a small pullback in the market, I suspect the stock that's meeting these overbought conditions, you can see the RSI here is over 70, is going to be ripe for a pullback. I'd like to get this off of the 62 area or under 61. It's closed at 61.50. The first target on this is going to be $60, right around $60 or so. You can see that it was a previous resistance spot, so that'll be our first target. This is only a $1.20 ATR, so it's not going to be a very fast mover. It is capable of big moves, but don't expect it to be quick. Our next target is going to be around the 59 area after that, so we'll just kind of take it apart depending on how long market comes in. If this comes in with it, we should see some opportunities to the downside. Like I said, I'd like to get short around 62, average at 61, target will be 60, then 59, and then maybe we'll see an opportunity between 57 and 58 to cover up some more. Just looking to take maybe 1,000 shares here, write them down for 3/4 of a point, or anywhere from 3/4 of a point to 1.5 points is kind of the sweet spot there. Had another question pop up here. What do you think of GNVC? Let's take a look. GNVC, what is this? Genvec, I don't know what this is. Let's check out the volume, very light volume. This thing trades with almost no volume on some days. It closed at the just under the highs here. The high of day was 81. Yeah, it could certainly gap up, especially as you can see, there's this $1 resistance spot, right? That's the big spot right there. It's got to get over this 50 EMA. The next target will be the $1 mark, and then obviously after that, we're back up here towards 160. Will be the next target after $1. So yeah, there's definitely a possibility that this thing moves up. It's got short sale restriction. Well, it did today. I don't know if it will tomorrow, but we'll see. I don't know what the news is on it. I don't know anything about this company. Not a bad look though, if you like the cheap stuff. All right, guys. Also tomorrow, I have on watch TFM, Loco, and Ulta, ULTA. Those are all earnings plays tomorrow after the bell. I'm looking to put on iron condors. I want to sell some iron condors for the Let me look at LABU. I want to sell some iron condors for the volatility crush that comes after earnings. So definitely something to keep on watch tomorrow. I'll send out that alert to our members. If I get filled on any of those trades, I'm going to have some pretty, they're all going to be credit spreads, so I want to get as much credit as I can out of them. But we'll see if I get filled or not. Just depends on the market conditions and what the stock does tomorrow and the volatility. If I do, I'll send that alert out. But those are the ones I'll be watching. ULTA, LOCO, and TFM are all going to be my earnings choices for tomorrow. LABU, of course, this is just going to be sympathetic to the biotech sector. LABU is trading just off of resistance here at 820. And it's not really a good long setup until it crosses over that 820 threshold. But this is a, let's see here. This is a very similar chart to IBB. I prefer to use IBB. I don't know, it's just one that I'm more familiar with, one that I'm more comfortable with. But you can see here that LABU and IBB have very similar charts. It's trading sideways because the overall market doesn't know what it's going to do. It is up off the bottom, but now it's in a period of consolidation. LABU is the same thing. LABU is just a reflection of the S&P biotech area, but it's just trading sideways, right? It's not even at the top of the range or the bottom of the range. So until it makes up its mind where it wants to go, it's not really any kind of trade at this point. There's nothing here for it. Again, the S&P is trading just under resistance here, and it too needs to pick a direction, and then from there all the other sector ETFs, the sector leaders, are going to sort themselves out. So don't look to take on something like biotech, which is a very volatile sector. Don't look to take on something like that until the broader market has a direction. In general, sectors are going to trade in sympathy with the broader market. All stocks are going to trade in sympathy with the broader market unless they have an independent catalyst. So assuming that there's no catalyst for the biotech sector that are going to move it independent of the S&P, wait until the S&P picks a direction before jumping on biotech or whatever. And that's what I'm doing. Just kind of waiting here, looking for stocks that are poised to make a move one way or the other based on their catalysts alone. But until the broader market makes a move, I'm not really looking to go too crazy with with ETFs. Thoughts on THLD? THLD, this poor stock here, I was 100% trading this name last year. I love this stock. I probably did close to 5 or 6 trades overall last year, and we nailed them. I think 100% of the time we hit wins on them. You can see I was trading this back when it was between $4 and $4.48. There's still lines on this chart. That's how long ago it was. Anyways, what do I think of it now? I think like most companies in the biotech sector that don't have good news, I think it's junk. It's going to trade around $1. It's like Biocept. They had earnings today. They'll probably gap up tomorrow, test the 200 moving average and fail. But look at this stock too. Another one that IPO'd at $10 a couple years ago and is on its way to $0, just like every other small cap biotech that doesn't make it. It doesn't matter what the pump says. When I say that, it doesn't matter what the news is. There's just going to be, no reason for investors to come in. MNKD, how many times have you heard that name get pumped? This one on its way to $0 also. It's finally over $1 again. But that's not a bullish indicator. Look at this chart. These are all biotechs that are just shitty. They are garbage. They're garbage to trade. Once in a while, they get a good catalyst that makes a nice day trading opportunity. But for the most part, for swing trading, for long-term stuff, they're so prone to bad news. They're so prone to, failed clinical results or bad clinical results or FDA, whatever, legislative risk. They're really susceptible to legislative risk. More often than not, they just gap down. They almost never have great earnings. They come out on speculative news and they get pumped up and they always sell off. We just looked at 5 different companies that all have the same shitty chart. So that's kind of what I think about some of these, especially THLD. THLD, like I said, I'm not interested in this anymore. I don't know. even good earnings is not going to save this company. Remember, there's a good chance that the earnings results are probably already priced into the stock, unless it's some blowout, unexpected number. Remember, the market makers price in the analyst expectations, so unless those expectations are blown out of the water, it's not going to matter. The other thing is the stock market is forward-looking. So when I'm looking at the stock, it's telling me that investors, market makers, institutions, they think the stock is worth $33 going forward, not looking backwards at all the shit they're working on and all the, well, someday they're going to get approval and they're going to cure cancer and, they're going to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and all this other shit. It doesn't matter because it'd be priced into the stock. Remember, it's forward-looking. Anything that you hear about, anything that happens news-wise, has already been taken into account. So there's really no reason to expect anything major here to happen, like I said, unless it's such a big beat that it outperforms analyst expectations. And then what? If they announce good earnings, so they made some money for a quarter, that's awesome, but what else is there to get them back up to $1 or whatever? They have to have some pretty big guidance, and they have to have plans to build a fountain of youth or something. So it's all forward looking. I don't put too much faith for trades on that stuff. Hope that makes some sense. Anything else you guys want me to look at? ERII. ERII. Okay, so this is not a bad look. Yep, you got it. You got it. ERII, not a bad look. I have a concern, though, that it's already at the 52-week highs after this big run. So here's the highs. This might even be, I don't know anything about this stock. Let me go back a little bit here and see. It is not the all-time highs, but it's been since 2009 when this thing IPO'd, 2008 since this thing is traded at this level. Okay, here's the problem. What we don't have here is a clean move with consolidation. You have this resistance tap here, big fail off that area, and a sell-off. Trades down around here for a while. Decent volume, million shares. That's good volume. But then you have this big run-up from $5 to $9.50 in about 3 weeks. We have this thing moved 50% in 3 weeks here. Massive, right? This, in my opinion, is extended. Look at the RSIs, this red slashed line down here. It's extremely oversold, extremely overbought. We have this sharp move that probably out of that 50% move, 25% of it was made in the last 4 days. And it's coming up testing this big resistance area. What I'd like to see is multiple taps along this area, like a flag, a flat top, some kind of indication that there's an accumulation phase going on just under that area. It would give me some sort of indication that the stock might be ready to break out. But after this big extended move up, I would expect it to pull back off this level. Yeah, it might pop over it, but I would expect the shorts to keep this thing down. I would wait for it to flag out and consolidate before making the next leg up. It definitely needs a breather. I think it's extended and won't have enough energy to sustain a move back, especially towards the all-time highs. When this thing IPO'd in 2008, I think this is just too extended of a move here. Could go, but remember, anything can happen, but we're not flipping coins here. We're trying to trade with probability. So stick to the highest probability setups. I can tell you that this is not considered a high probability setup. So wait for that consolidation under 950. LEJU. Oh, let's do MOSY. MOSY. Okay. This. Wow. So this has really light volume. Well, let's see here. Trades less than 100,000 shares a day on average. So okay. First, I have to say that I don't like low volume stocks. Just because if I want to buy 10,000 shares of a dollar stock, I'm only putting $10,000 of risk out there. But I'm going to end up buying, in the case of today, I'm going to end up buying 20% of all the shares traded. That's going to be just my trade. That's going to make liquidity a big deal. if you have to get out in the event something goes wrong. There's not going to be enough people to buy your shares from you, especially if everybody else is panic selling. So keep in mind when you're trading these names with the light volume. Personally, I won't trade anything with less than 150,000 average 5-day volume. That's about as low as I'll go. But anything less than that, you run into liquidity problems. Looking at this, I see this nice move up off the bottom here. Without knowing anything, just looking at this thing technically, it's trading between the 20 and the 50 moving average. I think over this 82, 84 area, I think that's where you want to wait for it to break. You can see once it gets over the 50, pretty clear pretty clear for a run back toward the $1 area. Once again, that $1 area is always a magnet for these stocks. You can see it was big support back through here in January, so we know that it's going to be resistance as this thing comes back up. Previous support becomes future resistance, and previous resistance will become future support. So keep an eye on it. Over 84, 85 for a move back towards $1. That's where I like it at. Just looking at this stuff. I don't know anything about the stock though. And then LEJU. Taking a look at this. Okay, this is a very similar chart to ERII. We have a very extended run up here. This thing moved about 20% in 3 days. Although this is a nice breakout over this top right here. See this little flag pattern? You have this move up off the lows. It hits this resistance spot. How did we get to this 411 resistance spot right here? Well, it was support back here in January. Once again, previous support becomes future resistance. So this 1 day of support, and I bet if I zoom out, probably see it again somewhere. Okay, the stock hasn't been this cheap before. So this 1 day of support right here at $4 and whatever this was, 14 cents, was enough to cause it to act as a resistance pivot back here in March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So you can see it tapped this 411 spot just under this support spot. Finally, the buyers came in massive volume too. Buyers came in and finally broke it out over. Buyers are in charge here. They pushed the stock up to $5. In small cap trading, stocks under $10, we find that the $half and whole dollar levels are huge areas for mental or psychological support and resistance. People like round numbers. They'll put their stop at 5.00 or they'll put their stop at 4.50. I never do that because I know that's where a ton of stops are going to be held. Market makers go and they take those stops out all the time. How many times have you guys been in a trade only to have your trade get stopped out and then down to the tick, and then this trade rips without you, right? It came all the way down, it took you out by a penny, and then it rips. That's because the probability of you putting your stop in the wrong place is pretty high. Market makers know this, and so do big institutions and the people with the money that can manipulate the stock. They're going to go down and grab your shares, and then the trade will leave without you. So again, anyways, this one's extended here, but it is a nice move up. I'd like to see it consolidate under $5. It's trading at resistance now. It was also resistance back here in, looks like September. Once that area breaks, or once consolidation is complete, I think we get a move to 530. It's not really significant. Maybe you get a move up here to 540 or so. You can see that this area of support right here is going to compete with this area of resistance. So you'll see a move to 530, 540. Once those two areas fall, though, you should have pretty smooth sailing to $6. Okay, $6, previous support, and then it was future resistance. So support back here again in July of 2015 was resistance in December of 2015, January. So this whole time here, it's tapping that $6 area before it finally failed, shorts won, and it moved down. So wait for this to consolidate, give it a day or two to flag out. You want to see this kind of pattern. Let me zoom in here. You want to see this kind of, let me get rid of this market map. This thing is really distracting on this chart. Let's do that. Okay. You see this little move up off the bottom, kind of like this one. You have this big move up. You want to see it kind of sell off, consolidate. You want to see higher lows come in, and then you want to buy it over the break of this top. You want to get it over $5, but you want to see it kind of tap that area for a while first, very similar to how it did here, and then you should be able to get to these levels over the next few weeks. CXRX. You guys are most welcome. Like I said, always happy to help. These are important questions, so as long as everybody's getting something out of it, I am more than happy to do it. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I like to see. This is the pattern I just showed you on that last chart. Now we're getting the hang of it here. Okay, previous resistance, previous support became future resistance, right? Support back in December became resistance. Previous support will become future resistance. Still resistance over here. Nice bull flag, right? Pops up, flags out here. I would look to take this over the top of the flag for a breakout. This is the exact same thing that happened on that chart we were just looking at. LEJU, right? We have this little move up here, this little flagging pattern, and a breakout over the top. So CXRX, same exact pattern. We have this move up, it's flagging sideways. Watch for breakout over the top. I'd absolutely get in on this one. Only downside for me is it's, like I said, a little light in volume, but if you're comfortable in there, you can take a couple hundred shares and you can let it ride. Not a ton of risk on a $1.70 ATR with a couple hundred shares. I think your next target on this one is going to be somewhere through here. After 33.50, if you get long, you'll have room to 35.50, and then probably up toward 40 bucks or so. Just looking at the short-term chart here, more or less. So long over 33.50 definitely looks good. Nice flag setup. Then targets 35.50 and then 40. So a good spot on that one. All right, guys, it's getting late over here. It is 8:30 p.m. my time. My watch list is done. I will be up in the room bright and early tomorrow, looking to catch some of those gappers out first thing in the morning. Whoever asked about the high day momentum scanner, I don't know if you're a member or not with Warrior, but we do give this scanner away for anybody who signs up for an annual subscription. We give them this exact scanner we use to find the trade, like ASTC we used in the morning. So also, we encourage you to check out our strategies page, where it goes over how we scan the scanners and how we identify the setups and so on and so forth. It's right on our homepage. Just click on free products and go down to trading strategies, and we have a video lesson and written trading strategy, written rules for each trading strategy. Matter of fact, I'll probably just put that in here if anybody has a question on it. See, it's under tools, trading strategies. Here it is, and there's the link. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions, anybody that has questions can email me at any time, jeff@warriortrading.com. Always happy to answer your questions. I will be back tomorrow looking at Friday's watch list and trade ideas, and we'll go over any trades that we took tomorrow night. So I'll see everybody back here then. If you haven't already, follow my channel so you can get notified when I come back on. And talk to y'all later. Have a good night.